Welcome to Make Your Mark podcast, where guests share their experiences, insights, and tactics to help you accelerate your business. So building, scaling, and monetizing your business is made easier. And I will be your host, Kay Suthar. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Make Your Mark podcast. And I have an exceptional guest for us here today. His name is Julius Hammond. And he's a father, a husband, an author, and entrepreneur. He also has his own podcast show called Wealth Champs Podcast. He has run multiple different businesses, all in separate different sectors, completely different to one another, which are all successful. And get this, guys, off camera, he's told me that he has done this through learning through books, mentors, and has been an entrepreneur for the last 10 years, right? So we're going to be getting him on stage today to explain how he came about this, how he did it all, what kind of books did he read, what did his mentors tell him, how he really made his mark in the world. So please welcome Julius to the stage. Oh my goodness, Julius, I am so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kay.
So there's so many questions I want to ask you, right?
Sure.
So we have guests coming to the show that, have been an entrepreneur for like 20 plus years, right? 20, 30, 40, so many years. You've done it in the last 10 years successfully, right? Plus have had multiple different businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, how did that even happen, right? How did you decide these were the different businesses you were going into, right? How do you pick what you fall into? Like, it just astonishes me that you've done all of this in 10 years. So where did all of this really begin?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. Thank you, and I'm honored to be here. And for all your listeners I appreciate for being here. It pretty much started when I was younger. My parents, they owned group homes and daycare centers growing up. And so my mother got me when I was younger. As I was in high school, I worked part-time, made a little bit of money, but nothing too outrageous because I'm her son. So it's kind of like, okay, well, you're going to pretty much be interning here. But I learned how to run an HR department, how to balance a checkbook, what different things when it comes to business, what it entails. And so she kind of was grooming me from until I got older to be able to run my own business. Because she always saw when I was younger that I wasn't a micromanaged employee type of person. I don't like when someone's over my shoulder, like, well, when are you going to, do this, or we got to get this project done, or you got a timetable or timeline on this. And then another thing I didn't like being an employee, if I was going to go down that road, is the fact that I only can take a 2-week vacation out of the year. Like, no, I want to be able to go to Bahamas for 30 days. I work my tail off to get there, and I go there and I can stay there for 30 days and still come back and have my business flowing. So I've always had that mindset growing up. To answer your other questions in regards to how do I pick the sectors I pick, I started off with credit repair. That was the first thing I did because I understood that majority of the market, they have bad credit. You have your 20%, 15%, 10% people who are excellent credit and above, business and personal, but you got way more people who need credit help. So I said, well, let me understand the market and what's going on. I learned by first I worked for someone as an agent for their credit repair company, and I was just bringing in business. And then I started learning, the bureaus and, the different letters and, getting coached by lawyers and other people who programs I took and incorporated my own. And then I started my own business called Mega Credit Boost Inc. And that's where, that's the first thing I did before I started my other businesses and how I got started.
So just taking a couple of steps back here, right? When you were younger, did you know this is what you wanted to do? Did you know that, okay, I want to start my own business. I'll probably go into credit repair. how young were you when you realized that your life was going to look completely different to the average person?
Well, no, I didn't know I was going to start my own business per se, especially in
Hmm.
credit repair. I knew I was going to do real estate because,
Ah,
yeah, my grandparents owned land and other things like that, and I understood
right.
at a young age, and owning businesses and things like that. I understood at a young age where if you want to really make residual income and money, you have to do it on your own. So I was force fed that when I was younger. Um,
Interesting.
however, when as far as when I was younger, no, I wanted to I was a football player. So I played football, did some
Ah,
boxing. So I thought, just like most athletes, I'm thinking,
yeah,
okay, I'm going to go to the NFL. I'm going to go,
right.
you know what I mean? So I'm going to buy my mom this big, extravagant, $20 million house and have all these cars and all that stuff, which, I mean, I'm not doing too bad in that sector now, but back then I thought that's the route that I was going to take.
Mm,
Obviously, God had other plans for me. And, I'm not on Sunday getting beat up every day, coming, being in the ice tub and everything like that. I'm still making
right.
good money, but then I'm not, getting beat up every day in order to do it. So, God had his
Yeah.
I thought it was my plan, but God obviously had other plans, and he has the last say at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And it could possibly be that your mom didn't want to see you come home beaten up. So she was like, okay, I gotta teach him some other
Yeah.
skills, right? And get him
Yeah.
out of that kind of industry. So she was smart right there. And so I guess my question is to you, your mum has taught you a lot of different things growing up, right? And exposed you to many things that most people probably haven't seen or experienced in real life, right? You
Mhm.
kind of she gave you the skills that you needed, especially the basics to kind of get you going. What would you say for yourself was the biggest lesson that you learned from your mom?
Well, it wasn't just my mom. I had a whole bunch of people. I had
Mm.
my father, I had my mother, I had my grandparents on my mother's side. It was a conglomerate of people who taught me a lot of things. I kind of go down the pipeline here. So my dad taught me more the spiritual aspect of it. My dad wasn't really
Ah,
a businessman, but he always force fed the Bible on me. He always gave me scriptures when anything that went wrong in my life. And I was thinking like, okay, well, man, is anything gonna ever get better? He always had,
right.
hey son, John 3:16. Hey son, Deuteronomy 8:18. Hey son, this scripture. He will always give me a scripture that would pretty much be adjacent to the problem I was facing at the time. And I wouldn't really understand it at the time because you're younger. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? But as I
Mhm.
got older, I see the significance of those scriptures and what they really
Ah,
entail. So that's number one. Number two, my mother, she really taught me how to be a go-getter. My mother was one of those, like,
really?
yeah, my mother was the business person. So she was the go-getter. Don't take no for an answer. Go out there and be shark like, be a lion. Don't be disrespectful or don't be arrogant. Be humble, but go out and get what you got to get because no one's going to give it to you. That's the way this life is.
Wow.
You got to go out
Mm.
and take everything that you want in a
Yes.
respectful way and in a humble way. And don't cheat nobody because karma can be good and
Mm.
bad. You got good karma, but you got bad karma. You okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Oh my God, it sounds like we need to get mum on the show.
Fortunately and unfortunately, the reason why I say that is because my mother transitioned, and it's in my book. My book is called "Die Empty While Living a Full Life," so it's
Oh,
on Amazon and
wow.
Barnes and Nobles. And this in
Awesome.
my book, my mother passed away in 2018 from cardiac arrest, and my father in 2016 from prostate cancer. So they're no longer physically here with us, but they're here with me in spirit. So
Most definitely. Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about that, but yeah,
okay.
it sounds like, you've had great mentors even within your family to kind of get you going for sure. And you
Yes.
mentioned also you had your grandparents as well cultivating you.
Yeah. Well, my grandparents, this is my mother's parents. They were very unique. My grandfather, he was a Navy SEAL, and he
Ah.
always taught me how to like get up early. That's why get up early, work out.
Ooh.
I'm up at 4 o'clock every morning. I'm in the gym by 5:15. I work out for about an hour, and but between 4 o'clock and 5:15. I'm doing my prayers and doing my meditation. I'm reading the word. I'm getting closer spiritually to God. That's the times that where everybody sleep. I,
Yeah.
I connect with the one. I connect with the great I am while everybody's sleeping. Then from there, I go into the gym to feed the temple, work out, get everything good,
Yes.
and then I start my day after my shower and all that stuff. So
Okay. So
he taught me that. Yes.
that's awesome, right? And that's a biggie, right? Because a lot of people have challenges when it comes to disciplining themselves, right?
Yes.
Especially getting up in the morning and making sure you got time for yourself, right,
Mhm.
before you actually get to work. And so, how did your grandfather, who was a Navy SEAL,
Mhm.
really kind of embed that and teach you that this is the way of living. This is what you need to do. You need to get up in the morning, especially being a young kid, right?
Yes.
Yeah, as a young kid, you don't want to do that. You want to stay in bed.
No. No. It was a fight at first because I mean, he would like, grandson, time to get up. He would fix grits and bacon and eggs and all the good stuff, right?
Oh,
But 4 o'clock
wow.
in the morning, he'll have his clothes ironed and all that stuff, and he
Hmm.
will wake me up by 4:30. And I'm like, Grandpa, I'm asleep. It was granddaddy. My grandpa was my father's parents, but I would call him granddaddy. I'm like, Granddad, I'm tired. Like he's like, listen, you're not going to feel it right now because you're young, but you need to understand that if you want to be successful in life, you have to be disciplined, you have to be focused, and you have to be willing to do the things that others aren't willing to do. So one day
Mm,
you can have the things that others wish they can have. So
absolutely.
once he started, he would show me too. He would get up, he would wake me up. So me and him would be up before my mother, my
Hmm.
sisters, my granny, who everybody still be asleep. We the ones up cooking, ironing, getting things prepared for the day. So by the time 7 o'clock rolls around, when everybody else is waking up, we already 3 hours in the game. So we already
Right.
got some things going on, and so I've taken that lesson.
Yes.
I just kind of kept flowing with it, and it's worked out for me thus far in life.
Of course. Now, so a lot of people, I guess, they start these new habits, right? And you start working at it and everything, but then what did you do to prevent going back to old habits as you're growing up?
It's been times where I faulted.
Yeah.
The whole 10 years have not been successful. Plus, I'll tell you that now. I'm telling all your listeners, if
Mm-hmm.
anybody ever comes on here, any influencer, anybody, and tell you from start to finish is all success, don't buy their program, don't listen to them. They're lying to you. It's not. I'm telling you right now. There's a lot of bumps and bruises in the road where you think success is always a trajectory up. No, it's like and then you finally, go up. So and then you never really, when you get up there, you got to stay up there. You know what I mean? Because you always have someone trying to
Mhm.
take your spot. You got jealous people, and people are envious of you and things like
Right.
that. So
Yeah.
no, it hasn't been a success the whole 10 years, but and there's been times where I've went against the word, and I thought I did my own thing, and I thought
Right.
I'm the one who became a six-figure earner. Like, no, God didn't have nothing to do with
Yeah.
this. You know what I mean? Like I was thinking that at times, you know what I mean? Because
Wow.
yeah, when you get money and when you get, some clout and some material things,
Mm-hmm.
it tends to, at times, if you allow it, it tends to cloud your judgment. I
Wow.
used to have that mentality, and God had to say, "Oh, okay, so you doing this all on your own? No problem. I'm gonna let you fall." And so,
Ooh.
yeah, I mean, I could really get into the story if you want me to, but when I fell hard.
Okay, yeah, I need to hear that. We all need to hear that now. Right.
Okay,
What happened?
so pretty much, being humble and not, continuing to honor God and do my tithing and things like that, the principles that you're supposed to do in order to
Mhm.
not only go in success but stay there. I started thinking and acting and feeling like I'm the one who got myself here, and so God called me to be homeless. He took my parents away from me because I was crutching on them. They were my crutch. Caused me to,
Ah.
once they transitioned, I had to really grow up mentally and not just physically. Physically, I'm always grow up because you're getting older, not younger, right?
Yeah.
So I had to mentally grow up, but I had to go through all the stuff I went through, all the trials, tribulations, and things I persevered through in order to become more humble and understand that, listen, faith without works is dead. Yes, I do my part. I do the work, but you can't do it without faith. You can't do it without God.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. And so
Wow.
I had to learn that the hard way. And, it caused me to be homeless and a lot of different things that happened in between that time. Like I said, family members transitioned. A lot of things happened. But once I became humbled, I was able to, gather better resources that I lost and even more better resources now, get the friendships and the kinships that I have right now with major influencers and people who are multimillionaires and stuff like that I didn't have before. Because, anything that the locust has taken, God will replenish times 10, So,
Yes.
and I understand that by reading, because I read my word and understanding God and what's going on in biblical with scripture and with the Bible and stuff. So
Yeah. Do you know what? It's so funny that you say that, because I never say to myself that I'm a religious person, but I am a spiritual person, because
yeah,
I'm a Hindu, right? And Hinduism is a very spiritual religion, right? And so the whole belief in the karma and that things happen for a reason. There's always a lesson behind everything that goes on, right?
yes,
Bad lessons, good lessons. And so as I was growing up and I kind of fell into things, right? And did things. And when you grow up, you really kind of, get wound up in different things and people and get influenced and all this kind of stuff and end up doing things you shouldn't be doing.
yes,
But they're the biggest lessons to learn from,
yes.
right? And everything that happens that you perceive to be bad doesn't necessarily have to be bad unless that's the way you want to see it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely.
And so it's always great to learn from those lessons and be like, hold on a second, okay, something screwed up here. Was it me, or did I do something wrong? Did I, make a bad decision? But there's always a lesson, because I was also homeless in Costa Rica, right? I was living the life, traveling the world, making money. It was freaking awesome,
Yeah.
right? And all of a sudden, click of a finger, lost everything. Was homeless, right, in a foreign country, didn't speak a word of Spanish, right? I was like, what the hell am I gonna do now, right? And so I hear where you're coming from, but I took that as a lesson. I had to laugh about it. You have to laugh about it, right? Otherwise, you're gonna cry about it.
Yeah.
And then trying to figure out, okay, what am I gonna do next? And that is when you realize, and you probably came across this as well, what you're actually capable of.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right. So
Yeah,
when this
you're
happened
absolutely.
to you, right? When you became homeless, what was your next steps? What did you do to recover?
Well, first of all, the first thing I did was got closer to God. I
Huh?
did nothing else. I got closer to God. I went to anybody who was spiritual. I'm not really religious like that, too.
Mm,
Grew up Christian. I kind of dropped that denomination only because it is man-made, and so God never created for you to be a specific religion. Like, that's man-made. God just said, like, listen, the pandemic showed us that. Get closer to me. I want you to have a relationship with me, not through a religion or anything. Yes, you want to be able to not celebrate the word, to be able to praise and honor God with your fellow man and things like that. But
right.
at the same time, the church is just exactly what it is. It's a building. So you can have church by yourself. Like you there, you interviewing me now. After you get off the interview with me, you can have church all by yourself. You know what I mean? So
Yes, I say the same thing. Like, you don't have to go to a temple or a church to pray. You can
no,
pray where you are right now, anywhere,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
So I hear you. Okay, so you got closer to God. So
Yeah.
then what happened next?
Oh, you're making me go back in time. What happened? What happened next is I had to, some of the stuff that would had transitioned, I had to like apologize to certain people. My wife, I was with my wife at this time, but I didn't even tell the story how me and my wife met, but we had met and, started dating and we got married and things like that. She's Nigerian, come from a African background, African culture. I'm African American, so I'm obviously Americanized and all that stuff. And that's been a journey in itself. Man, that'll be a whole nother podcast. We talk about that. But she was there for me during my parents' passing. She's actually a nurse for like almost 25, 30 years. So
Mm,
she helped prolong their living with helping them with certain things, certain organic remedies and foods and stuff like
Ah,
that. Things that we're supposed to be eating anyway, not this artificial stuff
yes.
that they are, spraying and all that stuff. I won't say, the word because how that is with cancer culture and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I got closer to God.
Mm,
I have my wife and a few other people who I went to, and I just broke down. I cried, and I'm not a crier. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? I was raised to be tough because I'm the oldest of everybody. I'm the oldest of sisters, cousins, everybody. So I was always in a leadership position, even
right.
before I even knew what leadership was, you know?
Yeah.
So, and so me getting closer to God and having a wife help me and a few other people, I just reached out for help, and thank God I had the right people who didn't look at my situation and look at what I messed up on or anything like that. They looked at what I can be and the type of person that I am. They looked at my heart and my character, not what had transpired. And so
Right.
I went to them, and they were able to help me and things like that. And the rest is kind of like Murder, She Wrote. So
Got it. So I know we're getting deep here, right? Because I'm really trying to get into your head, Judy, to really figure out how do people, transition from where they were, right? From being all good, making lots of money, losing everything, and then coming back again,
yeah.
right? And so I like the fact that not only did you get closer to God, but you went and apologized to the people that needed an apology from you, that needed to hear it, right? So this is, I guess, the step where you kind of had that realization, and you had to humble yourself,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
so, and then they took you back in kind of in their arms and kind of helped you, supported you, guided you. So at what point, and in fact, maybe this is the next question. How did you mentally and emotionally, right, build yourself up, build your confidence, your self-esteem, and tell yourself, I can keep going and I'm going to build another business?
Having mentors, making sure you
Ah,
have the right people in your environment, the right circle around you. You're the five of some. You're the five of the sum of the five people who you hang around. So
mm,
if you hang around four people who all they do is smoke weed, do drugs, hang out at the club, well, guess what? You're going to do the same thing because that's your environment. That's all you're
yeah,
seeing. That's all you know. But if you hang around people who are entrepreneur-like, who are businessmen and women, who are spiritually led, who are family oriented, who have great values and principles. The values and principles are the key. So
mm,
wherever someone values and what the principles are, if you perpetuate that, you'll be successful if it's good. You know what I mean? And so
right,
I had to
yeah,
learn that. I got around the right people. I have a few masterminds I'm a part of. I have a few brotherhoods that I'm a part of as far as, family oriented, God led, things like that. And I had to really reconstruct my circle. Okay.
right.
And, and I got rid of the ones because it wasn't always me. I had some people who helped and who were bad for me, who caused me to be homeless and things like that. So I had to get
Oh,
rid of them, apologize to the ones who I hurt, and
yeah.
which is called taking accountability. And then I had to readjust my circle.
Mm.
And once I did that, things took off for me.
Wow, okay. So there was a lot of things going on there,
Yeah.
right? So not only did you realize you had to get connected with your spiritual self, you had to go and apologize, and you had to remove the people that you kind of grew up with, knew that's all you knew, and say goodbye to them and form a new circle, new relationships, and get yourself back out there networking the right way, right?
Yes, just the ones who are bad for you. I give if
Yes.
I'll give you an example. I have two male best friends who I've been knowing since junior high school. Okay, I've been knowing them for almost 30 years now. I'm 39. Be 40 next year. I just turned 39 in March, and I've been knowing them for 30 years. So I've been knowing them for a while. Okay,
Yes.
and these are my two male best friends. Meaning that I can have $1 million on the table. They could be around. I can leave for a week, come back, my same million will be on that table. That's how much I trust them, and vice versa.
Mm.
So those people, though, because those are the ones who were there for me when I was homeless and when I went through all the stuff, the deaths and all that. Those are the ones who are true blue friends. But anybody else who, and you know, a lot of times we know our circle. We know that this person has been flaky in the past. When I didn't have money, or what do you think is going to happen when I got money? They're going to use you for that. They're going to be flaky. They're going, you know what I mean? So people tend to show you what they are when money comes in and when other things come in. So if you're a philanthropist before money, you're going to be more of a philanthropist. If you're an asshole before money, you're going to be an asshole with money.
Yes.
Money just amplifies what you are. It doesn't change anything. It can change your zip code. It can change your circumstance. It can change a lot of stuff, but it can also change you. It can if you let it. So just get rid of the ones who are bad for you and keep the ones in your circle who's been there for you. Again, for your listeners, if you know who you are and you know who you have in your circle, if you have someone who's bad for you and you know it, okay, like a girl, you know, she's been around, that's my home girl, but she's bad for you. You know, she's a bad influence. You know what I mean? You're married, but you're hanging around with her and she's single and all she does is talk bad about dudes. That's probably not the best advice the person go to for advice for marriage. You know what I mean? Right. She's going to put friction in your marriage. So I'm just saying, get rid of the bad ones, keep the good ones, and plug in and add and multiply the ones who are, you know, who are resourceful, who can help you get to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what if, right, you have a couple of bad apples, but they're family? You can't get rid of those.
No, yeah, you can. I got rid of family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meaning that, okay, so let me explain.
Yeah.
Getting rid of people is not just friends. It's families, it's associates, it's friends. When I mean get rid of, I mean like you can't get rid of family. Okay. You like I mean, you know, unless you want to commit a crime. No, I'm not talking about that. But what I mean by get rid of, say, for example, if it's your sister or your mom and you know she's a bad influence on you or whatever. Yes, I said your mom. You can be like, you know what, mom, I love you, but I have to distance myself from you for a while because I have to be focused on this. Still check on your mom, still make sure she's cool because that's your mother. You only get one.
Yeah.
She's cool. But if you know, and everybody's circumstances is different, if you know that, okay, I'm trying to build a business, I got this, I got all this positive stuff going for me, and this person is feeding and acting and being negative all the time. A negative mind and a positive mind cannot coexist in the same brain.
Right.
Something's going to take over. It's either going to be positive or you're going to be negative. And if you're negative, you cannot produce a positive outcome.
No, absolutely.
So you got to get rid of the negativity. And that's including family, friends, associated, anybody who doesn't have your best interest at heart.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome stuff. Now, I guess, Julius, the key thing people are probably waiting to hear is, how'd you do it? How'd you make money? How'd you build all these businesses? What are the main elements that we need to know and follow?
Well, first of all, God, number one. That's numero uno. There's 5. This is what my podcast, Wealth Champs. Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube and Rumble. There's some fantastic interviews coming up, and I just finished doing a great interview with Dr. Umar Johnson, who's a wealth of knowledge as well. He's all over YouTube and all that stuff too. So you guys make sure you follow him as well. Awesome. But my podcast, the reason why I did my podcast is because wealth, people talk about getting rich, and that's what's perpetuated in the media. But the thing is, rich, they focus on one aspect of rich, which is money. Okay. Right. Now, in order, let me show you something. In order, this is right here. Okay. This is fiat currency. All right. But hence the word fiat. This is not real money. Okay. This is not real money. I want you guys to understand that. How you get this is by working hard, applying yourself, and then it will manifest for you. Now, why am I saying all that? Because how I got to where I got to is because I put God first. Faith without works is dead. I did the work. Okay. I constantly have faith. I have faith even bigger than a mustard seed. They say it's faith. You don't need faith as small as a mustard seed. No, I have tremendous faith. Right. You know what I mean? Faith. God says throughout the whole Bible, it says, I fear not. So I'm sorry. Let me repeat. He says, "Fear not," says the Lord. So if you have faith over fear, then fear. All this is a false sense of reality. Fear is an acronym for false evidence appearing real. So it's not real. It's made up in your own head. You know what I mean? Now you can be nervous, you can be fearful, but don't have fear. You can be like, okay, well, I'm nervous or I'm fearful because I was in a relationship before and the guy cheated on me or the girl cheated on me. And so I'm fearful to go into the next relationship with if the guy or what, but that's fine to be cautious. Or let me rephrase: be cautious a little bit. Use better discernment. Be more educated before you go into this next relationship. But don't have fear of not doing it because of what happened previously. Yeah. And so I learned from my lesson. I learned from the past, and I just marched on to the future in regards to that. Now, to answer your question a little bit more in depth, I have faith. Like I said, I worked hard as far as getting into other businesses. I studied every single thing that I do. So I studied real estate investing, and I still study. I don't stop studying. I'm always reading. I'm a big proponent of self-education. So I read people like Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone. I'm part of Manny Kochbin. Manny Kochbin. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's into luxury and exotic cars and commercial and things like that. So I studied all these people in regards to real estate. I've always been into cars growing up. I used to do car shows and hook up, my Acuras and a few other things with Lambo doors and in-dash TVs. And then I just that to Lambos now, you know what I mean? Lambos and McLarens and Porsches and things like that. So I've always been into cars, and I just rent them out. One thing, Jim Rohn, he's a former, he passed away a long time ago. Jim Rohn, he's a former motivational speaker and Herbalife giant. He said, always have two things in business: one to ride and one to rent. So I have one car that I personally drive. That's my car, and then I rent out the other one for profit.
Okay.
Yeah, you always have two things if you can, But then that's where obviously you play the game of. If you read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad, you understand the game of Monopoly. You know what I mean? He says it specifically. He says three greenhouses and one red hotel. So you buy 3 green single family homes, and you take equity from all 3 homes, and you go buy that commercial real estate, which is a hotel, a resort, some kind of mall strip or whatever, right? Yeah. And then that's where you get the big bucks coming in. So I just learned how to do all this stuff from reading, understanding, but first and foremost, making sure God was numero uno in my life.
Okay, I love that. Now, do you know what? I feel like I can speak to you forever, right? There's like every time you say something, I'm like, oh my God, I got another 5 questions to ask him. So, and so, first of all, were you ever scared, right? Stepping into that world?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I was really nervous. I wouldn't say scared because I was groomed when I was younger. Like I told you, with my mother, my grandparents and stuff, working for them and working with them. But you always, because you're fearful of the unknown.
Yes.
That's the problem. You know what I mean? You don't know. It's Absolutely. Like, is it really going to be successful? But you don't know. But guess what? The ones who, but I will say this: you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to be. If you cannot be a successful entrepreneur if you aren't comfortable with being uncomfortable. You're gonna always be in uncomfortable positions. Like I'm always around people who I'm like, how did I get in this circle? Like this dude he's on stages with XYZ. He knows this person. He's a 7-figure, 8-figure earner. I would think that to myself at times, but then I'm like, I would always reverse and be like, you know what? I'm supposed to be here. God, just because this person has a PhD, has an MD, or he's a whatever he is, right? All the accolades, all the paper accolades, just paper. But hey, God said, hey, I will bring you amongst great men and amongst kings and all that. Why can't I be around this person? Because they're a sheik, because they're a bishop, because they're
Right.
ambassador, whatever they are, whatever their title is. That's just a title. I'm on the same playing field as they are because God said I am.
Huh.
So
Okay, so it's that
always will go
different,
back to that.
yeah, the different perspective, right?
Yes.
So, see, I think a lot of people go through that, and I think, do you know what? Even that's happened to me, right? The first time I got on stage with my mentor, I'm like, am I hearing this right? Like, should I be on stage with my mentor? Like, does these things actually happen? Like they know who I am, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so those things always go through your mind. And I guess even when you're leveling up in business,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's still things like, oh my goodness, like imagine being on stage with Robert Kiyosaki, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being on stage with, all these great people that you've just mentioned. Like, oh my goodness, they've been doing it for years, right? It's the first time I've come on stage. Like, do I deserve to be here?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's the kind of question that kind of pops into your mind. Do I deserve it?
Yeah. Well, remember, Robert Kiyosaki. Yes, he's one of the apex as far as entrepreneurship, and a lot of people go to him. Napoleon Hill's another one with Think and Grow Rich. I
Right.
mean, yeah, if you're on stages with these people, you might think that, but guess what? They were babies at one point or two, and they were on stages with their mentors, or people
Mm.
who mentored them. So they were thinking the same thing. So remember, this thing we heard it best in Lion King, but it's called the circle of life.
Yes.
You know? So
Yeah.
they went through the same thing, and then now they're teaching you, and then you're on stage with your mentor, and then guess what? Now I have mentees, and if you are a mentor, then
Right.
you're on stage. They're gonna be like, man, how can I can't be like with Kay and Julius and all that. Like man, I was in your shoes like 15 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's a repeating cycle. But again,
Absolutely.
as long as you stay connected to the one and connected to people who are willing to help you get to that level and level up,
Mm.
man, everything else will shine for you.
That is awesome. Oh my God. Do you know what, Julius? I feel like I can speak to you for another hour, right? This is awesome stuff. So many golden nuggets in such a short amount of time. But before we do go, I know there's a lot of people thinking, oh my goodness, I need to get hold of Julius. I need to learn from him. I need to connect with him. So where can they go to reach out to you?
Okay, well, I mean, Facebook, you can follow me. My tag name or whatever your default name is Hammond Jay. You can send me a request there. Instagram, Julius Hammond 84. Follow my podcast, Wealth Champs Podcast on Instagram. I have TikTok as well for both personal and Wealth Champs. If you want to rent out a car from me, it's my car. My rental car company is called G9 Luxury Living Inc. Follow me on Instagram Instagram for G9 is G9LLINC. So I don't want to type out that whole thing, so I just made it condensed.
Okay.
And then if you need your credit repair or credit done, it's Mega Credit Boost Inc. You can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook when it comes to that. So that's how you can best get in contact with me.
Right. Awesome. Now, guys, all the links will be in the show notes below. So make sure you scroll down and get hold of him. Reach out to Julius, learn more about him and what he does and how he can help you. And Julius, oh my goodness, like I was saying, so many golden nuggets in such a short amount of time. Thank you so much for coming onto the show and getting really vulnerable with us, because I know some of these questions you really had to kind of think back to when you were in that position for sure. But thank you for getting vulnerable and just being, totally straight and raw and real with us. Totally appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. And I'll say this one last thing before I go. Two things. Make sure you guys go purchase my book on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. It's called Die Empty While Living a Full Life. Teach you how to persevere, how to really connect with the one, and how to go through things and to be able to get to where you ultimately want to get to successful in your life. So make sure you guys read that because it's a very good story. Also, subscribe to YouTube and Rumble for Wealth Champs Podcast. A lot of interviews, a lot of great people like Kay and other people who are entrepreneurs who are edified to try to help build up their business and other things like that, as well as other influencers who you guys will see all over the podcast circuit and all that stuff. I got a lot of interviews lined up for that. But one quote I'll leave you guys with this, and this is something I live my life by. It says, "Learn from the past, prepare for the future, be present in the moment. And
Mm.
sure, you guys always stay present in the moment. Learn from the past, prepare for the future, be present in the moment. And with that, thank you, Queen. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Julius.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Make Your Mark podcast at www.makeyourmarkpodcast.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get this and every other episode that comes out. We have lots of great stuff coming, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And thank you in advance for all the reviews and comments. I appreciate it so much, and I look forward to serving you in next week's episode.